Good afternoon. I wanted to hop on and give an update for how I'm doing after my Botox procedure for R-CPD. I am currently 3 weeks out from the procedure, and I seem to be progressing a little bit slower than most patients do after the procedure. I'm still kind of stuck in the micro burp phase. The micro burps are definitely easier to do. I don't have to try so hard to get them to come out, and they are coming out more frequently. So that's a little improvement. And I have noticed a few larger burps, not, I wouldn't consider them full size by any means, but maybe equivalent of 2 to 3 micro burps kind of coming out at once. So I'm having slow, minor improvement. Of course, I wish I was having the full-size burps like I should be having by now, but it is better than nothing. I have been able to eat a normal diet now. I don't have to think about what I'm eating or every time I swallow feeling like it's getting kind of hung. I feel like I'm back to normal in that regard. Sometimes in the morning when I first wake up, I feel a little, just like a hint of that like lump in the throat feeling, but sometimes I feel like that's more pronounced when my allergies are bothering me that day. But for the most part, my throat feels really good, and the changes in my voice that I noticed the first couple weeks seem to be back to normal. So for the most part, I'm doing really well. People ask me all the time, how are you doing? I feel great. I just am waiting on the larger burps to start and hoping those will come. I have been able to quit taking the omeprazole I was on daily for acid reflux. I really don't think I have acid reflux. I think all along it was just burps trying to come up, just a giant air bubble stuck in there causing that pressure. And it's kind of a sensation like when I feel like I need to burp, it almost feels like there's wetness down at the bottom of my esophagus, like a wet burp. But usually once I get a few micro burps out, that feeling subsides. So I think previously, before the procedure, that feeling I associated with reflux when really it wasn't. It was more just a burp that needed to come up. So I weaned off the omeprazole. I started taking it every other day. A few days after the procedure, I waited till the initial soreness and swelling went down after the procedure and started taking my omeprazole once every other day. And I tolerated that well. I did that for 2 weeks. And then I was going to do the omeprazole once every 3 days, but I felt so good without it, I thought I'm just going to quit it and see. So I successfully quit the omeprazole, and I'm feeling great. I'm still, being cautious with what I eat. I'm not going to just blow it out of the water with citrus fruits and spaghetti and high-fat things. So I'm still keeping that in mind when I'm eating, but I have not had one bout of heartburn since the procedure, so that's huge. So I'm really thrilled with the progress on the reflux front. As far as the bloating and the gas goes, that improvement hasn't changed much. I would say it's slightly better than before the procedure, but because the micro burps are not super productive, I'm still struggling with bloating most days. And it seems to be as the day goes on, like it was prior to the procedure. As the day goes on, my stomach will bloat more and more. And it depends on what I eat too, but it's not every day, but I would say most days I'm still struggling with bloating and needing to take Gas-X before bed usually. I'm very hopeful that once the bigger burps come, that I will be relieved of that as well, because I think right now the micro burps, even though they're happening quite frequently throughout the day, there's just not a lot of air coming up, and I think I am holding a lot of air inside still. So in the back of my mind, I'm prepared to need a second procedure if the doctor feels I need that. I do have a follow-up coming up next week for my 1 month follow-up appointment, so I will talk to her about it next week and we'll go from there. I knew going into it that 20% of patients do need a second injection. Some of those need it because the burping ability wears off, and some of them need a higher dose because the first dose wasn't effective enough. So I do wonder if I'm going to need a higher dose to really get those full burps going, but I haven't lost hope yet. And I am happy that I'm having some improvements. So I will keep everybody updated. I'll probably hop back on and update after my 1 month follow-up here in the next week or so and go from there. Thanks for following my journey.